Hey, 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 what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella, or you can call me your lawyer bestie. And I'm an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa who is super passionate about exploring non-traditional legal careers. So the reason for that is that I went into practice thinking it's the only thing I could do with my LLB degree, and I was absolutely wrong. I was far from the truth, and I have created this series so I can show you the diverse paths that other individuals have taken and are making a lucrative career out of. In today's episode, we have Mapule, who is a non-financial risk manager. I am so excited for you to get her story because she stumbled upon this career. She did not know that anything like this was even possible. She initially wanted to be a prosecutor, and her story just blows my mind. And she has a wealth of tips to share with you. So if you are interested in getting into the financial space, this episode is definitely for you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, drop down to the comment section and leave a comment or a question, and subscribe to the channel so the channel can grow. And also share this episode with somebody who you know could use this information. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on my channel. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and I thank you so much for your time. I know that people watching this are going to benefit from this. Woohoo! Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for
Mapule,
the
please just
invite.
introduce. Thank you so much for honoring it. Thank you for honoring it. Please introduce yourself to the people watching.
Okay, I'm Mapule Setlaleleng. I am a financial services compliance and policy professional and regulation. I never really know how to package that, so I'll just say compliance, policy, and regulation. Currently, I am a non-financial risk manager at one of the big banks, and academically, I have an LLB from WITS and a postgraduate diploma in commercial and business law, also from WITS, a postgraduate diploma in financial planning from the University of the Free State, and a master's in insurance law and governance from UP.
Okay,
So yeah.
nice. So that big title that you couldn't really sum up into one thing. Like, what does it mean when you go to work? You wake up in the morning and you go to work. What is it that you do at work?
So I think I struggle to package it because although I've been in the financial services sector, all my jobs have been different. So I can't package it in one. In my current job, though, it's non-financial risk manager. So that's basically looking at all the risks that the bank faces, excluding insurance risk, market risk, liquidity risk, and credit risk. So the risks that you can't actually quantify. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the bank lost R1 million. So it's like reputational risk. There was a hacking
No.
and client information was leaked, things like that. Or the risk to the buildings in the case of severe weather events or a break-in, cyber attacks. Yeah, all the risks that cannot be quantified. That's what I do. I look after that. I do the group policies for risk and also do the governance stuff. So that's the risk committees as well. Advise business on policies and assess their risks and quantify the risks in terms of the materiality matrix. So, in a nutshell, that is what I do in my current job.
Okay, wow. That is quite a mouthful. And I think that, with all these things that you have said, now my follow-up question is, with an LLB degree, can somebody be able to get into those types of spaces? I mean, you've mentioned that you have, quite a number of qualifications in addition to your LLB degree. So now we are talking about a person who just has an LLB degree. Is there space for them in banks? Because you work for one of the big banks. Is there space for someone like that to enter and work in a bank?
Yes, there are graduate programs in the banks for compliance and also for risk. And to be honest, with the financial planning one that I did, it was a bit of FOMO because at the time I was in an investment company and a lot of people were doing that, so FOMO. But
Yeah.
also it was for my own, it was for my own benefit to get a better understanding of the financial services sector. And how I got into the field, actually, I started with the graduate program at Deloitte. It was a forensic program. So that was more on financial crime and, yeah, financial crime compliance and investigations. And then I decided, I can't do this for the rest of my career. It's the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again. So towards the end, I started applying. Then I moved over to Alexander Forbes Investments as a compliance officer. And then, yeah, so I think that there are a lot of opportunities, not just in banks, but in insurance companies as well, in the audit firms. Mostly in audit firms, it will be along the lines of forensics. There's also tax opportunities in the audit firms. So there are a lot of opportunities for LLB graduates, even if you just have your LLB only. But what I would recommend to make your application stand out if you're not admitted is the RE1, like the regulatory exams. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
RE1 and RE5, we can do them through Moonstone, which is largely based on the name of the act, Financial Services and Intermediary. Yeah, I don't remember the full, it's phase, Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services Act, yes.
Okay.
So the RE1 and 5 are based on that. So to make your application stand out, I would recommend that you do those.
Okay, so somebody who has their LLB degree can go ahead and write the RE1 and the RE5 without having
Yes,
any practical exposure in the financial field.
yes, yes. But you can also still get
Okay,
into the graduate programs without the RE1 and RE5.
without the RE1 and the RE5. Okay, so this is like
That's
something
just
that
to make
is
your
great to
application
have.
stand out. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I want to get into like the juicy part of things, like your story. You got your LLB degree, then what? I mean, you have, these options, you've got these many options. If you knew that you have options, actually, I think that's a question that I must be asking.
Yeah.
Did you know that you had options besides being admitted? So just take us through that, that phase where you've got your degree. What was the next step for you? And when it comes to knowing that there's more beyond admission, did you know that?
So I think the journey actually I would say starts in like third year of my LLB. You know when in varsity it's like the big five or nothing. And now it's towards the end of third year, you're not signed and it's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, what am I to do with my life? I'm such a failure. Oh no. And then yeah, so the
Yes.
panic started setting in then, and then going into fourth year, still trying to look for articles. And I had this thing when I actually started my LLB. I actually want to be a prosecutor. I want to do this, the NPA. And I think at that time, when I was in my final year, we weren't taking applications or something along those lines. I don't quite remember, but yeah, I think it was put on hold.
Mm.
So yeah, the panic was real. I wasn't getting interviews, and I remember it was a career fair on campus, and then I was with my friend who was studying accounting. And then she was standing at one of the audit tables, and they were like, "Oh, aren't you interested?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm a law student. There's nothing for me." And the lady there was like, "Oh no, girl, do I have news for you?" So she handed me two pamphlets. One was for forensics, and then the other one was for tax. And both grad programs were taking LLB students. So that's when I started realizing that, oh, actually, there are other opportunities outside being admitted. So then I
Yeah.
started doing a bit of research in terms of like the tax one that I got didn't really appeal to me, but I was more intrigued by the forensics one. So I did a lot of research, and then I started applying to the audit firms. And then as I was doing the research, I actually realized that forensics is basically compliance. It's just financial crime compliance. So I started looking up compliance graduate programs as well. Came across a few from the banks. And yeah, luckily, towards the end of fourth year, I got a call back from Deloitte. And then there was a whole career day. And yeah, so I stumbled upon this by luck. I think law schools need to do more because if I hadn't been with my friend there, I don't know where I would have ended up. Yeah.
100%. 100%. And I love the fact that you touched on that because, I'm always saying that, look at the practicals that you have in university. All of them gear
Yeah.
you for practice. Look at the people who are coming to speak to you. It's people in practice. So when you are, in your third year or your final year and you don't have articles, the panic really does start setting in because you're thinking,
It
what else
does.
can I do? Because the only thing that you have been taught or the only thing that you have been exposed to is practice. So
Mm.
I know that panic, and I say this all the time on the channel that I went into, articles thinking that it's articles or nothing, and
Mm.
then after that I was like, no, there's actually there's actually more that you can do with your LLB degree. It's not just, you know, getting you towards that. And that's basically what this series
I
is
think like
about.
over the
So
years, like
yeah.
over the years when I've been working, I think also as time progresses and I gain more experience, I'm exposed to more. Like each day, I'm quite surprised with how much you can do with your LLB. So I think that's another thing that, okay, I started off in forensics,
Mm,
but currently I don't even do anything related to that. So yeah, there's just a lot. And I think just be willing to learn and do your own research as well. Because I think your LLB
yes.
can fit in anywhere.
Yes.
Just find what interests you within the law and just marry it to your LLB.
Mm, true, true. I love that. And I want to ask because, when we have these conversations, there are people who'd say things like, oh, but admission is still beneficial. Pursue admission and then you'll go wherever you want to go after admission. And, I always say that not everyone can get admitted at the same time. There are many, many, many challenges that stop people from being admitted. Now, obviously, if people want to pursue admission, they can absolutely do that. But the truth is that, there are more graduates than there are law firms. So, considering all of that, considering, those opinions and where you are right now, would you say that you want to pursue admission based on what you know and the work that you do? Would you say you'd like to pursue admission because admission would grant you more opportunities?
I think in my current space and the path that I want to take, because I'm leaning more towards the climate risk specifically as a risk type. So I don't think it's beneficial for me at this point. I don't see myself in a law firm anymore. I can't believe I was once stressed out about getting articles, but at this point, it's not for me. It's not for me. I think I found my
Mm,
path outside of practice, and I'm quite happy with the way things are going.
yes. Mm. Because I just, I wanted to get someone's opinion, someone who's going to say that admission is not beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Admission is
I
not
think it
beneficial for
depends on
everyone.
what you want to
It's
do.
not
Yes.
that
Because if you're
exactly,
in the, for
exactly,
example,
exactly, exactly.
if I was in the bank and I wanted my next role to be legal advisor, then I would have to be admitted. But then I'm not even thinking of going in that direction. I want to
Right.
stay in the risk world. So it's not beneficial in line with my career goals.
Mm, mm. That is true. That is true. It's very important, for people to just map out their careers and, marry their interest with, where they can make money. Yeah, instead of just succumbing to pressure and thinking it's either this or nothing.
Yeah, there's actually a lot
All
available.
right, so now I just want to ask what.
And I think it's just a delay. It's just a delay there.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So I wanted to just ask you to give advice to somebody who wants to get into this type of space. Now, when I say advice, I mean, certain skills that they can possess, that'll make them stand out. I know you spoke about the RE1 and the RE5, that can make an application stand out. But what, skills are needed in your type of space? In the banks, somebody who has, an LLB degree and wants to go the forensic route, what are some things that they can do now or some skills that they can harness that will help them in their roles?
Okay, so I think business acumen, very essential. And then the ability to market yourself, because your qualification only gets you in, but it doesn't speak for you. So you have to market yourself because, in my
Mm.
experience, your work, people always say your work speaks for you, but in my experience, that is not the case. You have to market yourself, you have to know how to sell yourself, and you always have to be willing to go the extra mile because with the other, having to have moved from forensics and ultimately get into climate risk work, I've always had to put myself out there. So if you don't have work or it's a quiet season, reach out to other people within the company, ask if they need assistance, just put yourself out there. Also, just stay in touch or stay up to date with what's happening out there because it does affect the financial sector. Even something as simple as the I don't know, the elections, just know how that impacts on the
Yes.
economy, which ultimately has an impact on financial services. Just stay abreast with what's happening in industry and also internationally and how that influences. So yeah, I think if you want to be in the financial services industry, just always keep up to date. So for example, with forensics, you would have to um, stay up to date with what's happening with the grey listing, the financial FATF. What is it, the FATF again? Financial Action Task Force. Yes. Stay up to date with the um, statements that they issue, which countries are currently being grey listed, because that also has an impact on how financial institutions interact with each other. And so I think it's very different. Remember, I said my roles have all been different. So I think those skills are more on the forensic side, but they're also applicable to like my previous role. I was in policy analysis, so that is basically legislative drafting. So keeping abreast with other central banks, what they do, the laws that they make, because they also impact how we write our laws, how we change certain things. So just stay up to date with everything. Be willing to read. You can't be in the field and not love to read. That's the one thing I can say. Read and
Yes.
research. Yes.
I love that. And I also love the fact that you touched on putting yourself out there. In quiet seasons, reach out to people and be like, yo, how can I help you? How
Yes.
can I just get my hands in there? And I think that's a quality that a lot of law graduates seem to be missing, the whole
Mm,
being able to put yourself out there. The way you put yourself out there as a graduate is not the same way you put yourself out there when you are employed. So, people need to learn to read where they are, find where the problem is and solve the problem. If you're a problem solver, you will literally not be forgettable because without you,
yes.
then problems will still exist. So
I would even
there's
say it
something,
actually
there's a term
starts
that
while you're still a student. I'd say it even starts while you're still a
yes.
student. So on LinkedIn, you see someone who has a job that you'd like to be in, just reach out. Are you interested in coffee or just, ask more? How did you get here? What can I do to get to where you are? It starts before you even graduate.
Mm, mm. I absolutely love that you touched on that. Like, if now this is to my audience, if you have been consistent on this channel, I always say that be visible in the spaces that you want to be in. If you see somebody's doing something, just like put your hand in there, ask questions. If you can if you can attend a certain event, go ahead and do that. Make sure that you are visible, people actually know you, because it's people who open doors. So when
Mm.
people know you, they'll be able to open doors for you. I wanted to touch on, there's a term that you mentioned. Did you say green financing? So is it green financing?
Or the area I want to move in. So yes, it's climate risk and
Please,
green finance, sustainable
climate
finance.
risk. Yeah.
Yes. So it's all part of
Yes.
that. Yes. So
So what
that's the
exactly
line
is
I
it?
okay. So where do I start? It's quite broad. Back in the day, it just used to be, people just used to think of it as, what did they call it? Corporate social responsibility, I think, where companies
Yes,
would,
yes.
yes. But now it's thought of in the broader sense. That's still like in ESG, environment, social, and governance, that's like the aspect of it. but there's still, so climate risk in essence is the climate change issues that we're faced with. So there would be a physical risk element to climate risk. So that is essentially the effects of extreme weather events. So think of the floods in Durban, how they impact
Yes.
people and how they damage, yes, how they damage property or how they damage a farmer's crops. So that would be the physical aspect of climate risk. Then there would be transition risk, which is the risk that the changes to legislation bring about. So recently, we've had the climate change bill being passed into law, which is now an act. So transition risk would be the risk that such legislations bring about. So that, in essence, is what climate risk is. And you look at it from both the aspect that the environment has on the business and the impact that the business has on the environment. And then from a financing perspective, which is the green finance, that would be how financial institutions basically contribute to mitigating climate change. So reducing investments in mining and increasing investments in, say, renewable energy or sustainable farming practices. And my specific area of focus, which brings me great joy, is the inclusive green finance. So it still stays in theme with financing sustainable solutions, but it's more of a focus on the marginalized. So poverty stricken areas or children and women. So, say if you're financing renewable energy solutions, then from an inclusive green finance perspective, more than 50% would be going to, say, female farmers or female windmill, whatever, whatever. So essentially that's
Yeah.
the one that I like. Yes. Just
Mm.
that incorporates financial inclusion and also green finance. That is my passion.
Wow. As you're speaking, I'm thinking I had no idea that banks had things like these. Like as you're speaking, I'm literally like, I really had
Actually, with
no
this one,
idea.
it's actually great because it's not just for the financial services industry. With the
Mm-hmm.
climate stuff or the ESG, it's across all the sectors. So if that's an interest of yours,
Mm-hmm.
then you have a lot of opportunities in banks, well, financial institutions, in mines, in even makeup companies now are focusing on ESG. So if it's something that interests you, then opportunities are limitless there.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I'm literally so grateful that you are sharing this on this platform. Sorry, I'm grateful that you're sharing this on this platform because I know that I'm not the only person who did not know that there were things like this that were going on.
To be honest,
So
I also discovered this like in 2021 when I joined the Reserve Bank because I remember they were asking for volunteers to join the climate task team, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but hey, I'm gonna raise my hand. And yeah, I don't regret doing that actually. Which goes back to what I was
mm,
saying earlier that when you have capacity, put yourself out there. You never know what you'll find. It might change your
mm,
career journey in like completely. So just always put yourself out there.
yes. I think if there's one person who has stumbled upon amazing things, it's you. From your university days to your work, you've just been like stumbling upon amazing things. And what I get from all these incidences that have redirected your career is that you put yourself out there. Like these things would not have happened if you sat back and you didn't go with your friend to her career fair. These things wouldn't have happened if you didn't raise your hand up and say, well, I'm interested. So I say this to say that you need to be interested. You need to say, I'm raising up my
Yes.
hand. Yes, I would like to learn
Yes.
more. I would love to do it. So you are literally like the poster girl for putting yourself out there because amazing things will happen for you.
It really
You are
does help
definitely the poster
sometimes.
girl. Yeah, you know what? I absolutely love that. And I too am taking it for myself. I'll be raising my hand a lot more, so that opportunities will not pass me by. Now you have said, so much, and I know that my viewers are going to, just learn so much. And I know that there will be a whole lot of questions. So please, every once in a while, please just come back to this video and answer people's questions that are directed to you. And yeah, is there anything you'd like to say before we end off this chat? Anything at all,
I
really?
think earlier, it just occurred to me. Earlier, you had also asked about what I also studied to get into the fields that I've been in. So
Oh, yes, yes,
currently, to
yes.
move into the climate risk area, I did a certificate with the CFA Institute. It was an ESG investing certificate. So that actually there was a chapter that focuses on what exactly climate change is. There was a chapter
Mm-hmm.
that focuses on the social aspect of it, which is the inclusion part, and then the aspect that also focuses on governance, which ironically, well, it does make sense for a lot of law grads. The G aspect in ESG is where a lot of people would fall in because that is essentially the company law aspect of it, more or less. So that's another
Mm.
certificate that I did to gear myself towards climate change. Although with that one, I would recommend it. It's a bit pricey, so that's something you would do when you start working and you get your employer to pay for it. Do not be afraid. Oh, so that's another thing. Do not be afraid to ask your
Yes.
employer to fund your studies. Do not be afraid. That's another thing because
Yes.
they're also investing in themselves by empowering you to know new things. Yes.
That's true. I just want to ask like a random question. So if your employer is funding like your certificate and let's say you don't pass on your first attempt, is it awkward or like you pay for yourself going forward? Like how does that one work?
I haven't experienced that before, but usually the policies would say,
Oh.
but no, but also with a lot of these things, someone in the company has done it before. So you would be
Oh
asking for
yeah.
help, and because they're also paying a lot, they're also willing to assist. And I think
Yes.
the awkward incidences I've had was when I had to leave before my payback period. So now I had to go to the new employer and negotiate a buyout from my previous contract. But yeah, that's the one that has been a bit awkward because now you haven't officially joined and it's like, by the
Yes.
way, yes. I think that has been the awkward one. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, no, I absolutely get you. And you know what? I too have learned a lot from this conversation. And I think some of the points that stood out for me was the fact that you put yourself out there. You always have been putting yourself out there, and it has just redirected your career in the most amazing of ways. And another thing that I also love is the upskilling. The fact that just because you're in that position, you're not like, well, I have arrived. You continuously upskill yourself, so that you can also perform well in that role. Like you're not just complacent, like, oh, I got it. And it just shows your work ethic and how serious you are about the work that you do. And I thank you so much for your time. Thank you, thank you,
Thank you
thank
so
you, thank
much.
you. Struggling. I mean, scheduling this was a bit of a struggle, but we finally got to have this chat. And thank you so much for availing yourself. Like I said, come back
Thank you
here every
so
once
much.
in a while
Oh,
to
can
see
I
the
just add
comments
something
that are,
quickly?
yes, please do.
Okay, so in terms of upskilling, it doesn't have to be formal education. You don't have to register with the university or do a formal certificate. You can go to Udemy. LinkedIn also has free courses. So upskilling yourself doesn't always mean you have to be using money. Just
In
find all the
university,
free courses on
yes.
Udemy, find courses on LinkedIn. There's a lot of free stuff out there, so don't limit yourself to say, but then I don't have the funding to do certain stuff. There's still other opportunities available
Yes.
that don't require money. Yes.
Yes, actually, yes, that's very true. Yes, so for even law graduates who are still looking for job opportunities, you can hop onto Udemy, LinkedIn, and all these platforms, and just upskill yourself. I absolutely love that. Love, love, love
Yeah,
that.
it also shows your
Um,
willingness to learn. Yeah.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Imagine coming with like a law degree, and let's say you've been unemployed for like 6 months, and in the 6 months you've done something on Udemy, you've done something on LinkedIn. This is something that you can also just include in your CV, that you have this and that, plus this that you've learned here and there. I absolutely love that, and I think that it's a conversation that a lot of people are not having. I think that
Yes.
exposure to free courses is not that grand. So I really love that you touched on it, and yeah, I really hope that people who are watching this will be able to just find something that they can do, so that their applications will stand out.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being here for the 100th
Thank
time.
you so much for having me.
I really I really, really appreciate it. And it was absolutely amazing seeing you again. If you want to get
Thank you so
hold of
much.
Mapule or just follow her on LinkedIn, I will just leave her name, I will leave her details in the description box. If you guys want to see all the amazing things that she's doing, and the qualifications that she spoke about, you can check out her LinkedIn profile. Her details are in the description box. And I thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Drop down to the comment section and leave a question or a comment, and subscribe to the channel so the family can grow. Until my next video, I'm sending you tons of love and light. Bye.